Greystones in Wicklow. We started in March 2018. We're totally family owned. We started the brewery, I guess it was a passion project right back in 2008 when we first started having the idea, and then we started home brewing. And we were really frustrated at the time that, Ireland is, like, I think pretty much of all the countries that I was living in or moving around and working in at the time, Ireland had the worst selection of beers. And I didn't even know that much about beer at the time. I hadn't even heard of O'Hara's back in 2008. I didn't know them. I think I was in an airport in Warsaw once when I saw this O'Hara's, and I was like, what is that? So I was really frustrated at the lack of choice in Ireland, and that's how it all started. And we thought we were going to brew a whole lot of lagers back then, and we ditched that idea pretty quick when we got going. Yeah, but now we're kind of like full circle.
I was going to say that, yeah. You did start out as a very lager-orientated brewery. So did you launch with 2 lagers? Yeah.
I think we launched with 3 or 4. We launched with a Helles, a Baltic Porter, a Märzen, and was that it? Yeah. Maybe that was it. Yeah. Maybe 3. Yeah, enough though, right?
Yeah. Jesus. I think to be honest, back then when I saw you launching, I just said, "What's lagers?" I said, "Yeah, I'll buy a couple of lagers, but no IPAs. What's the crack there, man?" They ain't gonna laugh. They're not gonna get everyone's. I suppose. Let's be honest. In the craft circles, sometimes don't get a fair crack at the whip. I think today they kind of get frowned upon. They're kind of like, "Oh, you're drinking lager. You should be drinking an IPA. You should be drinking stout, an imperial stout. You should be drinking a sour."
I think they're.
But it's kind of gone to be. You're right. You said it's gone to full circle. Lagers seem to be, the craft lager seems to be coming back. It's making a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, like this one that Sean's holding up, Curious, the Pilsner.
Let's crack it open. Get it in the glasses. I've got a growler anyway, so I've got it from tap, from the beer house.
So we.
There's definitely a place for a Pilsner, and a lager. Especially like as a refreshing drink on like a hot day. We're getting into that time of year for it, no doubt.
Well, I like a lager. Now, my go-to beer is probably a session IPA, but I do enjoy a lager. But this beer, we really wanted to do a couple of things. We sort of were getting feedback, not really we were asking for it, but we were sort of hearing people say that, when it comes to Christmas or, Paddy's Day, if they have friends coming over or family coming down, they'll go and buy a slab of Heineken and have it in the house, even though they won't drink it, but it'll be there for the in-laws, because even though they love supporting craft beer or Irish independent beer, which is great, they're not willing to pay 60 quid for lagers, which is what it would be if you bought them at €3 a can or whatever it is. And I kind of I was like, yeah, well, I kind of get that. So on this beer, we wanted to give people a go-to choice, like a fridge staple, where it's like an 8-pack, it's easy to carry. We were able to do that price because we're selling 8 cans at a time. But then more than that, even what we really wanted to do was give retailers a genuine option that they could really push to macro drinkers away from Heineken, Coors, and Hophouse. And that's what it really is. And that's why the price is where it is. We've been very aggressive on price because price matters. And I think we're 50 cents, generally speaking, over the Heineken 8-pack. We're slightly lower in volume.
It kicks the shit out of Heineken, let's be honest. It's clean.
Thanks very much.
It's clean. It's crisp. It doesn't feel like it's going to give me a headache when I'm drinking it, straight away, and a rotten stomach the next morning. Like I'm not going to be stuck in the reverse cycle for 2 or 3 hours and going, Jesus, what's wrong with my stomach? Not that I drink Heineken regularly.
First sip, that's actually the first time I've tasted it, and there's actually a decent flavor to it. There's it's immediately better than Heineken, so I'm going back for more.
Very German.
I'll get back to you.
It's very German led, is it? Very crisp, clean, that kind of a German vibe, is there?
It's crisp, it's clean. We used to have a Helles. And I like Helles, but I studied in Germany in university and in Bavaria actually, and I have to say Helles was not my favorite lager style. But so with this one, we wanted to make it cleaner, crisper. I always find Helles has a slight bit of harshness, but a raised bitterness maybe even though Pilsner should have higher bitterness. But I wanted to get away from that and make it smoother, which I think we've done here. And I think it's a great alternative that people can have instead of Heineken and Coors. And we're seeing the results because we've some shops are doing 10, 15, 20 slabs a week now.
Wow.
of this. Now, I say some, I'm talking like very, very few doing that volume, but the fact that we're even doing that at all is amazing because we've never done that on anything before. And the only way you can do that is if you're getting Heineken drinkers across, because they're the ones who are picking up 8-packs, maybe regularly during the week.
So how do you want to see, how do you want this on the shelf? Do you want it with the craft beers, or do you want it kind of facing off with the macros? Where do you want to be? Like, do you want to be in the same break as macro beers, or do you want to be on the craft shelf where you kind of get lost,
So Ronan Russell has asked, I don't know, this has popped up on my screen.
Oh yeah, German yeast, yeah.
If this is German yeast. If you ask me technical questions, you're going to show me up.
we came up with an answer for that the other night, didn't we? It was just the father Ted answer, wasn't it? That would be
the academical matter, yeah. It's actually a Wicklow yeast. It's from the Wicklow Hops Company in Newtown at Kennedy. Now, I don't know where he gets...
Wild yeast floating up the sea.
Yeah, I don't know where they're... I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head, because we have 3 house yeasts in the house now, and the lager one changed so many times up until December when we fixed on it, because we were getting we were trying out all these different things, because you get different flavor profiles, different aromas, and we settled on this. We're really happy with it. It's I think it's WP90. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it's a slow fermenting, cold fermenting yeast. I can tell you that much. It's not a Kvik. It's not a Kolsch yeast or anything like that. This takes a good solid 10 to 14 days to ferment, and we don't get it out of the tank within 4 weeks generally. There's at least a 2-week crash period. Every beer so far has taken 6 to clean up to the point where we're happy with it. But yeah, that's I hope I've waffled enough there to sort of cover over the fact that I wasn't able to give the name of the yeast.
You're a spoofer, basically. No, I mean, lads, I think we're all agreed. I mean, as far as lagers go, that's very approachable for anyone who's not a craft beer drinker, and equally anyone who's a craft beer drinker should be in love with this as well. It ticks both sides of the box. I think it ticks both boxes for me.
Yeah, right. Ronan's not letting this go, so I'm texting Pip now to ask him what's the name of this feckin' yeast.
Who's Pip? Is he your head brewer, or is that your brother?
Pip is the owner of the Wicklow Hops Company, which does everybody's yeast.
I'm glad you said Pip again the second time. I thought there was an M in the word there for a second. I'll text my
pimp.
Yeah, you said it for me.
We'll get onto pimping at the end of the episode, Dave. We're gonna have to talk about Kelly in a bit.
Yeah.
But just finishing off, the whole technical jargon and all that. Like, what hops have you used with the Curious Society Pilsner? I mean, are you I know that you've obviously trying to aim to take on the big boys at a cost-effective thing. So what's going in there? Like, how are you taking them on that way?
I mean, we haven't really done anything to cut costs at all. If anything, the opposite. So we always wanted to use Irish malts and Irish everything really. But what we found was to hit the profile we really wanted, we had to mix in quite a bit of German Wireman malt, because not every grade, you can't get every grade of malt from the Irish maltsters. So whenever we can, we use the Irish ones. But if anything, actually, by going down the Pilsner route, this beer actually costs a lot more to make than the Helles did. The Helles was all Irish barley, whereas this one has a healthy chunk of Wireman Pilsner in it. And the hops are, let me get this right, I think it's Saaz and Hallertau Mittelfrüh. So yeah, again, it's hop pellets. We haven't used any hop extract oils or anything like that. Yeah, there's really been no shortcuts. There's no adjuncts in it. I mean, that would be the other way that a lot of microbreweries would cut their costs. Would be they'd be getting maybe a lot of their sugar from grains like corn or maize rather than from barley. But you know, we haven't done that at all.
It's definitely the sad.
Is that what gives you the headache?
Pardon?
Is that what gives you the headache, the hangover? I mean, I can drink like 28 craft beers. I'll feel fine the next day. Give me a 6-pack of Heineken or one of those other horrible Buds or Coors, and I'm going to wake up with a tender head.
Why are you drinking that? When's the last time you drank that stuff?
Why
would you be drinking it? Why would you be drinking it in the first place? If you drink it, you deserve the hangover. Let's put that.
It was at the in-laws' house, and the mother offered it.
Drink spirits. Go on to spirits. I don't know. Ask him for cans of Beamish or cans of Guinness. Jesus, don't put that stuff into you. Go on. Do you want to reply there, Killian? Sorry for cutting you. He said something about hangover.
I can't remember the question now. Oh, the hangover. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
You know, it's a strange one because, you know, obviously, I think I'll get this straight now. It's obviously alcohol. Your body breaks it down into. I see Dave Guilfoyle is on the chat a lot here, so he can chime in with that. I think does it create acetaldehyde or something like that? What's the there's a byproduct from the digestion of alcohol in your liver that I think creates the dehydration, which creates makes your brain shrink a bit, which puts tension on the nerves. But I don't think it's the alcohol from Heineken though, which is an interesting one because I'm pretty sure that they watered the beer down to around 0.4% below what's on the can.
Sorry,
so it's only
heard that.
It's only like 3.8%.
It tastes like water.
I've heard that. I've heard that they brew it around 8% and they water it down then to bring the alcohol down.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's common in cider making as well. We make more, and it's just a higher efficiency because your tank might be like, let's say you've a tank that's 1,000 liters. Well, if you make 1,000 liters of your 4% beer, well, you've got 1,000 liters of 4% beer. But if you make 1,000 liters of 8% beer and then cut it in half with water later, well, you've ended up getting 2,000 liters out of your 1,000 liter tank. So that's how they
Bastards.
do it. And then we all get the marketing allowance of 0.5% up to 7%, at which point it goes to 1% marketing allowance. But you pay your tax on the real ABV, not the marketed ABV. So those guys, I'm pretty sure, are pretty much always 0.4, 0.5% below what's advertised.
Did you guys see sorry, last thing, Dave, before I come back to you, like, did you see that in like the government this week? Some alcohol, like people against drinking, they want to increase like a unit price for the alcohol. Like they want to like force that into mandatory legislation.
Like below cost selling, that kind of thing.
Well, as in they want to make it like if it is 1 unit, you must pay X amount.
They've been talking
so
about
they're trying to get away from.
They've been talking to that for a while, haven't they? The below cost selling, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Well, that's all. You can't a minimum cost per unit of alcohol, isn't it? That's kind of like that's where they're going with that, isn't it? I think that's
yeah.
You can't sell below the cost price. Basically, there's no underselling you can't do.
Well, that's
euro.
the whole
you can't
thing
sell it for less. You can't sell it for less. You can't sell an individual unit for less than the case or something like that. That's kind of the bulk buying kind of thing, isn't it? As far as I understand it now. That's trying to cut out the bulk buying.
Where you can't now sell like a 4 for a tenner, or you can't use your loyalty points. So they're just trying to get all that away. But I mean, I don't know. Anyway,
we're getting bogged down in lager. Let's move on. Come on, enough lager. Let's get on to the good stuff. got I mean, Killian, we went digging, man. I went digging. You're crispy. You're like your lager. You're clean. We spoke the other night during the briefly during the tech check about lockdown and COVID and how it affected Larkins overnight. You know, you were saying that your tanks were too big, and do you want to explain about what happened and like how you had to evolve?
Yeah, so we obviously we started in 2018. You know, it was kind of like a big family thing where when we decided to build the brewery, we'd said as a whole family, parents, everybody, like we'll just really go for it. And all the research we did was brewers saying, "Oh, we ran out of space in our brew kit, and we were too small starting. We wish we'd started bigger." And we were kind of like fumbling in the dark at the beginning, trying to figure out, you know, well, how big should the brewery be? And we went as big as we could afford at the time. And that was great. But it was all going well. We were slowly, you know, building up our sales volumes with export. We do a lot with France, Netherlands, a little bit in Russia, and, you know, Norway. We just sent an order to Denmark and Germany when Corona came, and so that was all going well, and we were doing well with the pubs in Ireland. You know, we were doing good amount of the on trade, and retail was sort of tipping away in Ireland. And then Corona came, and like export disappeared. Well, it kind of went dormant, and the pubs in Ireland disappeared, and we were kind of left with these tanks. And Larkins didn't really have a big core range of beers. We had just the IPA and the Pale Ale, and the IPA, well, it's like an expensive enough beer to make, and it's a bit more expensive to sell. And you know, just in Ireland, it's a small enough market, and if you want to sell a certain amount of volume here, you have to really have beers around €3 mark, sort of maybe €3 to €3.60, that sort of thing. That's kind of the sweet spot. We didn't really have anything like that. We were just really concentrating on trying to produce more interesting specials, but we were maybe on our size, maybe producing too much of them for just the Irish market. So that was the situation we found ourselves in, and we were kind of scratching our heads going, okay, well, what are we going to do? We don't really have a core range, and that means we're not really that well adapted for this new reality that we have where it's all retail in Ireland. So that was where Curious Society came from. We sort of said, right, okay, well, we need to produce a bunch of really well-made beers, like really good beers, but at a really competitive price point. And that's what this is.
Did you get caught with the size of your tanks, basically? That, you know, like, is it X amount of it was probably earmarked for export, X amount was earmarked for kegs, and suddenly you lost both of those angles. So yeah, the excess was just too big, was it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, so if we're producing like big double IPAs, or if we were doing like more and more Morrigan style beers, you know, they're really expensive.
I love Morrigan.
Yeah, Morrigan's great. But you know, if you're producing those and you're producing them in high quantities, you need to have route to market for them, and we just can't sell that much of those types of beers in Ireland. So we've done two things. We created Curious Society to hit a really good, really high quality level of specific types of beers at a certain price. And we've ordered a new brew house at 700 litres instead of 3,500 litres, which is where we are now. And that is going to be the new Larkins playground, where it's going to be just really innovative. It's going to be really creative. I mean, we some really great ideas for that. But it just means we're going to be able to produce way more interesting beers regularly, but at quantities where, you know, the market's going to be able to, you know, digest them. And you know, that's what we've had to do. It's been a real, you know, sped up evolution process for us.
So there was nothing to do about performance enhancing drugs in the Larkins beers, which, you know, they're quite hard to come by at the moment. So there was rumors after seeing your bulked up physique that you know, there might have been some PEDs.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Bulked up. What have you been drinking?
Larkins, that's the thing. It's making me go crazy.
Yeah.
Goodness me. I think you're obsessed with Heineken craft beer, and Sean, we'll have to have a chat off screen because obviously you're dabbling in some extracurricular activity, shall we say? Maybe you're after joining a couple of lads along the otter spotting trail there. We might have to have a chat off screen.
Otter spotting. I think that's a local joke.
That's a local little joke. Yeah.
We'll bring it up just now.
I'm going to share briefly there, lads, a screen basically from your website there of some of the beers you've produced down through the years. And I mean, I'd like you to kind of comment on a few and tell us which ones were your favorite to produce, which ones were, good fun to produce. What were your own personal favorite beers? Or if anyone's watching, shout in. If you see the beer that you kind of go, wow, that beer was the one I that brought me to Larkins. Me personally, looking through them there off the top of my head, I can just go Morrigan, Quaddage. Oh, amazing. Lore, great beer. And they came out together, didn't they? The three of those together. As far as I remember.
Came out, fairly close to each other, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't remember that one. Galaxy Quest Session IPA. Or maybe we did. I think, yeah. They're all quality.
We've got a question from himself, Brendan Sauls. If you can just check it out here now, Killian. How did Larkins come out of nowhere with some highest quality beer? Like, what training did you have? Because I know you've got around. I mean, you've been in Germany, you were in the UK, you've been in France. I mean, you've traveled. You've been about.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was an estate agent. A fancy estate agent. Not all those countries I was working in certainly didn't give me any beer experience of drinking it. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a very simple explanation for that, and it is. Hang on a sec.
You got to text You got to text your Pip again.
He has just. So no, he did. Yeah, my pimp did reply, and he says. He said, I think it's called the Hellas Fire Club is the name of the yeast that we use for the Pilsner, but I'm pretty sure that it's probably called something else somewhere else, but that's what it's called in Wicklow anyway. So when we started the brewery, we did a few things. We had size and scale, which meant that we could do contract brewing at the beginning, and that was the intention all along, was that we contract brew to generate cash flow from a business point of view whilst we built up our own brand. We also invested in a heck of a lot of quality control equipment, like reverse osmosis system, dissolved oxygen meters, all that stuff from the get-go. It just meant that we could control a lot of the variables from the very start. And then, as a lot of you know, we teamed up with Whiplash right at the beginning. And, the reality is that, love him or loathe him, Alex Laws is a very good brewer, and when he came in, we learned a lot from him. We were able to gain a lot from his experience, running a brewery like Rye River. Whatever you think of Rye River, whether you think they're great or just average or not good, whatever you think, it doesn't matter. That brewery, running that brewery is an amazing feat. They brew, I don't know what they brew. Is it like 40 times a week or something? I mean, like that is, I mean, it's just an absolute beast of a brewery. So it's really, really impressive. And so, when those guys came in and we were sort of, working with them and, they were brewing their beers in the brewery, that helped us a lot. So to answer Brendan's question, that kind of catapulted us, forward. It just helped us miss out a whole load of mistakes and error making that you'd make at the very beginning without all that experience. So the credit where it's due. Alex did come on board, and Alan as well. The two of them, they've very good experience, and that did help us. We learned from those guys. So that I think that's probably a fair assessment of how we.
That's kind of true. I mean, you did kind of like, as you say, you didn't like. How am I going to put this? Okay, you launched as a lager, we'll say, forward brewery, and then suddenly, I mean, I'm not going to disrespect any breweries, but some breweries bring out IPAs, and their first couple of efforts are, we'll just say, a bit ropey, But you guys hit it from the off. There was no messing around. You nailed your IPAs straight off the bat. I mean.
Well, I mean, look, there you go. I mean, I think I've explained,
you've explained
where, so that was it,
Yeah, moving swiftly on. All right.
I think it's time for the pale ale.
Yeah, let's
Great.
Yeah, we're sick of lager. Jesus, man. I think we're just got to ban lager from this House Flies podcast from now on. Someone told me the other during the week. Did you ever hear this, lads? It's not a podcast; it's a webinar. I didn't know that. If it's on the web.
What are we doing? Are we doing an expose?
No, it's a webinar. Yeah. I have a new presenter here for the moment. He's the youngest presenter ever. Yeah, he's a new presenter. He's going to take over. He's probably doing a better job than
me. He's got your head, Dave. I told you that. He's got your head.
Image.
He's got more hair than Daddy.
He's got more hair than you.
Yeah, he might have a couple of many bruises as well, walking into trees and stuff. Geez, the other fella's kicking off as well.
You see, that's what happens when you're a Man United supporter. Man United supporters kick tantrums, the bunch of the wankers.
Yeah. I mean, Killian, I suppose getting back to kind of the more lighthearted stuff, I mean, we touched on it as well. Jesus, when you were getting the brand up and running, you did a lot of mileage around the country, I mean, you must have traveled in that, we'll say, quite fluorescent van around every county in Ireland.
Still fucking doing it.
Yeah, I remember. You'd contact me and say, "Is the delivery okay at 10 o'clock at night?" I was like, 10 o'clock at night? I'm here, yeah. And then I think, sure, he must be staying in Cork for the night. No, he's got 2 or 3 more deliveries on the way home, and he's like, that is dedication. Is it stupidity or dedication? That's the thing.
I don't know.
Commitment.
Not having kids, maybe. I don't know. Or a very understanding wife. I've never been a massive fan of getting up early. Me too. So that always holds me back. And then, if you start a bit later and you get through Kilkenny and Cashel and Clonmel first, and then by the time you get to Cork, you're getting stuck in feckin' traffic. But then by the time you get later, like 10 o'clock, which has happened a few times, the traffic's all gone, and then you're like, this is great. I should get loads done now. I'm not doing anything else. Very funny, Dave.
But you know what, like, Killian, you've got to have credit there, because you've almost come a little bit full circle now, because you were hitting the road, you're doing it yourself. I mean, you're going to get out what you put in, and I mean, so I'll give you plaudits for that. But I mean, at the moment, you're kind of doing the same thing with Curious Society, where you were distributing that yourselves. You've taken on a new challenge, trying to take on the big boys. So I mean, fair credits. I mean, credit where credit is due. So.
Yeah, thanks. And Dave might be right. Maybe it is dedication to stupidity. I mean, because I mean, look, trying to even scrape a small percentage away from Heineken, Diageo, Asahi, and the rest of them, it's not easy. It's an incredibly price-sensitive market to be in. But unfortunately, it's still where, I don't know, 95% of the Irish market resides. So, you know, we keep seeing like breweries like Founders, which is part owned by Budweiser or something, and you know, Heineken with Lagunitas and Beavertown, although less so here now. You don't see them as much, but you keep seeing them encroaching onto our territory, so to speak, where they're trying to, you know, create their false narratives, which is what they do, and then market the shit out of them because that's the formula and it works. Unfortunately, none of us have the budget to counteract that in the same way they do. So you keep getting battered by them with their sponsorship deals, etc., etc. And I just kind of felt that in Ireland, anyway, we weren't ever really pushing back at them. Mm-hmm. So that was, again, you know, as I was saying earlier with Curious, the idea is, well, okay, well, let's do an 8-pack, higher ABV to counterbalance the lower volume in can, but, you know, a very similar price point, and let's see if we can't stick it to them a bit. You know, now we haven't really started marketing it properly yet or anything like that, but that was kind of my sentiment, you know, where, you know, it's like, well, let's try and actually hurt them a bit, you know. Or, you know, not just hurt them, but actually not, because that's not true. It's not really the way I think. You know, I don't set out in the morning think I want to hurt Heineken. It's more actually that I want to grow my side of the business.
But just take a piece.
Yeah, because that's where most of the market is. It's in their backyard, and I don't think that's fair because, you know, like, you know, it's like the Irish breweries should be getting more of a share of the interest of the consumer. But it's hard when those guys are so dominant.
Is there a market there in, like, perhaps looking up to sports clubs? I know, like, the whole GA thing doesn't really have a big drinking vibe, but all the rugby clubs do. I mean, what about trying to get into the rugby clubs? Is that on the tables? You know.
I mean, we look at new ways of getting out there all the time. And things like rugby clubs, 100%. It's obviously a lot tougher now with drink driving rules. I mean, although I say that, it wasn't like it was really easy even 20 years ago to go drink driving. I mean, nobody was, I mean, people were drink driving. It wasn't like everybody was. And doing
we're not encouraging that.
Is Darcy on the show?
He's
now?
on tune, yeah. Darcy's yeah.
I think we should see Darcy's shirt.
Yeah,
what's he wearing?
We'll throw him on. Let's see if he outdoes Sean. Yeah, you're touching on you're touching on the rugby thing there, lads, and the drink driving. Like, I played a lot of rugby when I was younger. When I was around, I played senior rugby when I was about 18 years old. I won't get into the rugby too much, but lads used to drive us home. With 6, 7, 8 pints in us, so we'd stop on the way home for a couple of beers. Like, I was only 18 years. I was only 18 years old, so I thought it was fantastic.
When was this?
I'm telling my age now. This
1975.
Yeah. My finger doesn't show on the screen. But like, this was crazy stuff. Like, I mean, this is probably what are we talking now? 43. What was that about? We're talking 25 years ago, 90s, 90s.
85.
But 95. I disappeared out of rugby. Yeah, about 95, 96. Disappeared out of rugby for I had girlfriends, and I put on weight. I got too involved with drinking and stuff, and got out of shape, and gave up rugby. But when I eventually got back in shape a small bit, and I was like, right, I gotta go. I've got unfinished business. Went back playing rugby. The clubhouse was gone, and nobody went into the clubhouse. Nobody had a beer. Everybody got in their cars and went home. I was like, "Where's the crack with this?" Like, it just completely changed, and everybody's watching their intake of everything. You know, I was just going, "This is completely changed." So, I don't know. I don't think sponsoring local rugby teams is gonna get you suddenly drinking beer. You know, get everyone drinking.
I wasn't saying sponsoring, but I mean just getting them into the clubhouse as such. You know, but you know, if they don't have the clubhouses.
Yeah, most of them don't have a clubhouse. They're just too expensive to run. The big ones do, but smaller ones, just say like my local club, Mallow, they don't have a clubhouse because they they weigh up the cost of a license every year and the cost of running a bar and staffing a bar versus not having a bar, and not having it is a hell of a lot cheaper, with the red tape. Anyway, I think it's about time we introduced the legend that is Mike Darcy. Killian, know him well, I know, don't you? This guy.
Oh yeah, but sure. He's usually whatever. If you're 10 o'clock, he's 20 past 10.
20 past 10.
Oh, there he is.
Good evening, Michael.
Hey guys, how's it going?
You're not quite the Papa Smurf you had earlier in the little technical check earlier. You've toned down the color on your face and your hair.
Actually, my housemate was in the background looking over my shoulder and going, "You're a Smurf. What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Well, I was saying Papa Smurf with the blue hair and the grey hair.
Yeah, and like she's Brazilian, so being talked down to about my kind of abilities to do things online by somebody who only arrived in the country about 9 or 10 months ago is like fairly sad, really. But there you go.
Welcome to House Live anyway.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us. If you can't have your closest neighbour on, who can you have on as a meet the bar person, a meet the beer person on the stool? Tell us, Mike, how are you getting on through this whole, as someone described it to me, shit show?
To be honest, I'm okay with it. I think I'm, fairly patient as a general thing. I don't get too upset about the small stuff. I'm not totally I think I've explored every bit of Cork City walking now at this stage. So it could be good to get out of Cork City for a while. I don't know, drama seems to follow me around. So not one, not two, but 3 people crashed into my car during the summer, right? So I was in almost constant contact with the Gardaí, ambulances, and fucking various other things, right? So that actually got me through the first few months pretty well. I attract weird stuff for some reason, and I don't know why, because I'm pretty much an ordinary boy from Macroom, but for some reason strange things keep happening to me all the time. So I've been okay. And the other thing is I like my beer and my wine and my whatever, but I think this has shown up a lot of people being kind of they've no resources, and I just see people going crazy online and stuff like that, and I'm like, go read a book, do something else, go for a walk, whatever you're doing, and also I think I'm kind of lucky. It's just me and my housemate, and we get on well, and that makes a lot of difference. So I don't have any dramas to report, lads. Really sorry, except for the guy who I'd say is going to prison at some stage fairly soon, who crashed into my car the first time. That was a hell of a night. So, do you have time?
Yeah, Mike.
Before we get
Ronan
into Mike,
says that you should be on Baywatch.
Hmm?
Ronan says that you should be on Baywatch, the new reincarnation of Baywatch. But you've actually been the most chilled out of everyone, I think I've seen. Is that I bumped into you just past the beer house. I think that was in probably August last year, just after the second lockdown, but the pubs weren't open yet. And you were so relaxed. You were like, I'm down in Macroom. Just, yeah. I'm like, are you going to be doing takeaway pints? You just, you were just so chilled.
Takeaway pints in the fucking Friary? Are you kidding me? I'd be there by myself all day with a couple of drunks coming down the road, down the hill, and that's
the North Side Avenue.
Totally, and they're not interested anyway. So I don't see any point to it. And hanging around doing nothing is not my thing. That's why we do so many stupid things in the bar, because I like creating events and stuff like that.
We're going to talk
and
about
obviously,
that, yeah.
The great thing about
the events in the bar, man. Sorry to cut across you, are legendary this stage, aren't they? I mean,
Well,
I looked up a couple of them. Like the best ones I've actually come across. Killian, a pink flamingo night.
the flamingo night is great.
Yeah, and was there a game of human chess outside on the court, on the bit of a footpad outside the funeral home at some stage or another?
Quick story about that, lads.
We're time.
But I think people didn't notice we marked out the pavement, even though strictly speaking, it wasn't our pavement to mark out.
Of course.
And we got
it's in front of a funeral home. I mean, let's be clear here to everyone else that's listening. It's in front of a funeral home. You're playing chess in front of a funeral home.
I'm good with the funerals, though. I'm
I'm
they
sure.
like me. They've been very good to me. But what happened was we got together and we made all these, chess hats, huge things, white and black. And for some reason, nobody noticed the black ones. And the rumor went around Shandon Street that I was starting a Ku Klux Klan at the bottom of Shandon Street. Right. So there were people coming down, lovely people coming down the road from Shandon, and you could see them pointing at the bar, going like, "He's a crazy man. Don't go in there. Like it's Ku Klux Klan territory."
Should we mention now while we're on that Black lives do matter and black chess pieces matter?
Yeah. I'll tell you, man.
Yeah. But
never cross.
There's a Confederate flag as you go up Shandon Street, just on the bend there, past the Muslim Center. There's a Confederate flag hanging out that window. So I don't know, Mike. Maybe there's a little bit more going on. QAnon should maybe be sprouting up some conspiracies. You probably have a direct access to Trump.
I can tell you, they're not coming into my fucking bar. That's for sure, boys.
Mike, tell us, like Larkins, you're a big fan of Larkins. You pour a fair bit of Larkins up there. You probably have. They go very well when you pour them in the prairie, don't they?
To be honest, and he's here now, but I would say it anyway.
I can mute him.
Killian is one of my favorites.
He's your favorite brewery?
He's one of my favorites from the brewing and from the hanging around the place, for sure. Also, we've got an unofficial. Well, actually, he doesn't even know it's my own. This is all in my own head, right? But
there's a lot of things in your head, man.
I don't know if you can see this, right?
Hey, the snakes!
Right? Snakes. So a few weeks ago, or several weeks ago, Killian said he was sitting at home having a beer and some jelly snakes, and I got completely obsessed, right? So I was like, that fucker and his jelly snakes, he's having it easy, and I'm here in Hackett's Terrace and I have no fucking jelly snakes. And I was like, damn, I have no fucking jelly snakes. So now I'm going out every 3 or 4 times a week buying my jelly snakes. And it's only the fact that I don't want to be weird and competitive about it that I'm not sending him pictures of my own personal jelly snakes all the time. And not only that, but tonight, Killian, I've got sour squirms as well.
They are good. They are so good. Yeah. They're really good.
It sounds like
and they're really sour.
It sounds like you do a fair bit of munching when you drive around that van, so yeah.
I'm trying to cut it down, but I've always had a massive sweet tooth.
But then I suppose if there's lads like Mike handing you bags of jelly snakes, Jesus.
Well, we had there was a lot of back and forth about the jelly snakes, and the natural company, whatever they're called. I mean, the ones you just had there. I mean, I like those ones.
Yeah. I'm completely obsessed now, but I don't like to be giving it away that I'm trying to get one over on him about the snakes. But I've loads of photographs in my phone of will I send him a picture from Tesco with me and loads of snakes?
Well, we should have prepped better, man. If you had dirt on Killian, I should have got it off you.
As long as the pictures were in public places, Mike, you can send them. But if they're not in public places, I think you and Killian can keep that to yourselves. We don't need to see your snakes.
Tell us.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, the Cork Ale Trail. You're obviously a proud member of the Cork Ale Trail. Ourselves, the Beer House. Ourselves, the Beer House. I am the Beer House. Yourselves, the Priory, the Beer House, the Abbot Ale House, Bradley's, and the Franciscan Well. We've done a couple of good nights out. On the Cork Ale Trail. Have we had Larkins yet? I don't think we've had Larkins yet.
Yeah, it was Larkins and Dot back in 20.
Yeah, actually, that's why.
2019.
That's why Mike started buying your beer afterwards, wasn't it? He just fell in love with you that night.
Bit of
a bromance, you know. Yeah,
great crack everywhere we went that night. It was really, really great. That was my first. This sounds ridiculous, but I think that was my first proper night out in Cork.
Getaway, just driving to Cork and getting to Cork at 10 o'clock and getting into the car and going home again. You know, that's no fun.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Cork's such a great night out. It's like Galway, obviously, as well. And I don't get to spend as much time drinking in those cities as I do delivering. You know, which is not as fun.
Just on that though, like, can we touch on the pale ale, like, for our beer aficionados?
I was going to bring that up as well.
Like, because I actually want to bring back, because I think you and Mike have had a sort of similar, like, Mike has also been around with his entertaining things, and I've got a question coming up after this, but yeah, I mean, tell us about the pale ale.
That's such an open question. I mean,
text your pip again.
Right. I want to know the business level. I want to know ABV. I want to know the hops, malt, this, that.
They don't want to know about that. It's Friday night, for God's sake. No, I mean the pale ale with that one. I mean, that was launched back in March 2018, and with that, it's changed a lot since then because we started off with lemon drop and lemon drop and something else. But basically what we found was that it's really annoying when you try and use more exotic hops in core beers because it's actually quite hard to get regular supply in volume of these hops. So for certain core beers, you really are better off going for hops that you just can guarantee you're going to get supply of. Anyway, that's by the by. With the pale ale, we wanted something that was full-bodied, really great aroma, great mouthfeel, very light in bitterness, big in flavor. And of course, I've touched on it already. I really do think that price point is important because we want to be as inclusive as possible and get as many people as we can drinking craft beer. And, whilst, yes, you can do barrel-aged stouts and all those, and they are great. They are really great. The reality is, most of Ireland, when they see a €7 can of beer, whatever, are kind of going to be like, what the hell? How is beer allowed to be at that price? And so you need to bring them on that journey. And pale ale, I think, is a perfect beer to do that, where there's so much more flavor than they're going to get in their lager. But it's still not as challenging as a lot of other beers out there. I mean, I don't know whether I've really told you. I don't know. I don't know whether I've answered your question or not, but there you go.
No,
that is the answer.
That's perfect. No, I think the lads at the Cork Beer Club will be appreciative of that, and anyone else. But to get back onto Mike and perhaps his former life of how he got into. How did you get into the Friar? I mean, you were previously involved in events, and I heard a story about Captain Caveman, and there's a club apparently involved in that.
Yeah, I actually only found it recently. I don't know. I have to stand back further than I can, but insofar, so this is my caveman.
Please keep your pants on.
Yeah.
You have everything to hand, you have the jellies, you have the caveman costume. Like, why are you putting this shirt out of a magic bag, Aladdin's lamp or something?
So I used to run around the place when I was in college and for years afterwards, because I qualified as a lawyer, right? And I didn't have a whole lot of money, and there weren't a lot of bar jobs at the time, and my family are kind of blow-ins into Cork in a kind of way, even though I grew up here like from day one. So I went to college and I really needed some money. Like I was eating cornflakes and putting like orange squash on it because we couldn't afford milk. You know, it was that kind of stuff. So
surely orange squash is more expensive than milk.
well, you water it down, right? So
okay.
So like I loved going to UCC, but like we had no money. So I saw this thing. Actually, a friend of mine saw this thing, and we went along. And they said, like, you get into a caveman outfit and you go out and tell jokes at parties and you kiss the, you know, whether it's the 20, you don't even really do it, but like you'd run around and pretend you're going to kiss their grannies and sing a song and take the piss out of them, you know? And so that's kind of what paid most of my way through college, running around as a caveman and doing law part-time on the side. So
very good.
Like there were lots of very hairy scrapes, you know. If you go to we used to travel all over Munster, and you know, you go to a pub on a mountaintop in Kerry somewhere, and there's 60 or 70 really drunk people, and it's just you with your caveman outfit and your song, and if you don't entertain them, there's big trouble. So the club was at the beginning, we just had this like stupid kind of plastic looking club that we bought in some toy shop, and then I realized a good solid club might help me out of some of these bars every so often. So like there's a fair amount of people who've been at parties at some point or another in the 90s and 2000s who've had a fairly solid belt of that club when they thought they were going to like assault me, basically. So
were you ever asked for any extracurricular activities, like a little bit of dancing, a little bit of Magic Mike? You know, oh, actually, that actually worked. Magic Mike.
To be honest, yeah, absolutely. They would have done, except I was so scrawny. You know, unlike now, I didn't have beer belly at the time, right? And it never occurred to me to go to the gym. But of course, you know, if
you're in the right place, you're in the right place. You got two gym boys here.
I'd say I definitely, of the four of us here, I'm the only one who's ever kissed a 96-year-old woman on her birthday.
1960.
No, 96-year-old.
Yes. Well, I mean, yes, I haven't.
Sure, you're about 76 yourself, so you're not. You know, she's not too old.
Yeah, this was when I was 17, man.
All right.
Yeah. I went to college when I was 17. I've also attempted for the entertainment of people in various post-primary schools to kiss several nuns in the afternoon in various schools around Munster. That didn't go so well. They're not really on for it.
So, Mike, we brewed a beer together. Back in down in Black's, Brews Lee.
That was fantastic.
That was a fun day out. I remember picking you up actually that morning, and I don't know, were you hung over from the night before or what? Like, but Jesus,
lads, I don't go to bed until 6 o'clock in the morning. This is 7:30.
No, I think you'd worked the night before or something, and Jesus, man, you were in flying form.
Yeah. I think I might have been asleep for half of the trip down. Thanks to God you were doing the driving. Yeah.
I mean, actually, as I remember, you were like covering yourself. Do you remember the moment in that match ton when you decided it was a good idea to put someone onto your face? The warm. Yes. Yeah. It was like, that's burning. That's really, really hot. that was good fun.
Yeah, you know that old saying of there's eating and drinking in it, you know?
Yeah.
And I decided, like, you know, it's just one of those things that, like, hey, I'm never going to have a chance to do this again. But it wasn't a good idea. And
no. Let's agree that.
There's bits of it stuck to my face and in my hair for quite a while afterwards.
Yeah. There's Mike doing bloody nothing, you know, just hanging around, looking at us all doing the work.
Looking pretty.
Yeah. But that's Brews Lee talking about Cork Ale Trail and the success of what we can do. I mean, hopefully when we get the bars open again. Like,
you got to give credit.
Give credit for brewing a great beer. But my
credit
God.
to Ronan did a great job with that. I couldn't sell enough of it, lads. It was just out the door all the time.
Again, a grapefruit IPA, wasn't it? Yeah. There's one for Gideon. A grapefruit IPA, man. Get it. You could do a collaboration with us, the Cork Ale Trail, and when Larkins get up brewing, man. Yeah. We'll take 50 kegs between a lot of us when we get open. There we go.
Done. Fucking big time. Big time.
Done.
Agreed. Virtual handshake. There you
go. Get the signature now. Like we have verbal agreement. Killian, stop brewing. Yeah. Get those big tags back in action.
They're in action, all right.
Killian's stuff is brilliant, and I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
Mike, I have to ask you before we let you go anyway. We're talking about the events earlier. Your wackiest idea. Come on, you must have something that was absolutely off the wall. That we touched the Pink Flamingo one earlier and the human chest. And
oh God, yeah.
Come on. You're all about the events up on the Priory, like, you know.
Well, I think the two things that stick a lot was like we've had the ones that count for me really are the ones that like ordinary, not being snobby about it or anything, that people walk in the door and go, holy fuck, and they walk straight out the door again, right?
They're the ones that work.
So we did a thing because I'm quite interested in politics and stuff, and I decided to do a competition to be the best fundamentalist right-wing US preacher, right? So I got a load of Bibles together, and we offered everybody free drinks if they would like prepare a 5-minute sermon, basically cursing, gay people and all that sort of stuff.
All right, let's mute him. So what's that?
But like a lot of people who walk in the door don't realize it's satire, right? So they were coming in to see these fucking mad people throwing Bibles around the place and saying awful things about,
different
people and lesbians and fucking anything that isn't white man kind of stuff. So that's definitely one, because you could see people going, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And even though I know they're kind of a bit out of it, but at the time it was different. I think Saturday Night Beaver was also a classic. So
was that driven by the Beavertown night that you did on the Cork Ale Trail?
Because
we had Beavertown, and one of your staff dressed up as a beaver, literally.
So then we decided we'd make like shitloads of beaver outfits. And like I did the disco music, and then there were tons of people dressed as beavers. Paulina made beaver biscuits, and the whole place was. Yeah, she made beaver biscuits. Like when we do this, we go everything we can think of to add to the production gets done.
You get the beaver out.
So,
Jesus Christ!
What do beaver biscuits taste like?
I'd say,
to be honest,
I'd say they might be a little bit salty.
I don't want to, So I actually asked my female staff, right? Because I was thinking this is a bit on the edge of, and I said I was thinking of doing this thing like after that Beavertown night. I said like I was thinking of doing this thing, and I'm going to call it Saturday Night Beaver. Do you think this is funny or not? And they were kind of blowing beers out their nose because we're having a pint after work. I'm going, yes, it's funny. Just go and do it. Definitely the Ku Klux Klan chest day. That was also got us into a certain amount of trouble. Jesus, I don't know. There's some. I actually decided to look back over the last 12 months, and I have 4 foolscap pages of daft shit that we've done. That I've never seen in a bar anywhere before.
Mike, that is. I mean, honestly, like that is the secret of your success, because you are daft. Like
lads, you know me.
It would not work. It would not work. Like a traditional bar, bar selling your macro beers on the end of Shannon Street has never worked. You got into the craft beer probably because you inherited the craft beer from your previous owners. And yes, I mean, if you weren't doing that shift,
I know. We wouldn't be there.
You wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I walked in a couple of nights and I just went, what is going on here tonight? And it works. You've got a lovely community up there. You really have a lovely community, great loyal regulars, and I think you really are. You serve a great clientele as well. You know.
Well, I think we've got a nice balance along the river there. You know, genuinely,
the daft shit and the craft beer keeps the weird fuckers out that you don't want. You know, the stuff that's coming, the stuff that's coming. Like, not being disrespectful, but the lads that are coming
the north
down
side corridor
from they go in and they go, can I get a Bamish? Can I get a Heineken? Don't have it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How do you not have that? Fuck you, boy.
I used to get the same. I used to get the same shit when I opened up. We're actually open 15 years in August. I don't know if you knew that, lads. So we'll have to do a 15-year anniversary episode. But I used to get the same shit when I opened. Like, a lot of Northside lads coming down, and I have a great story. 2 lads rocking in one night, and they were like, 2 pints of Bud. I said, no Bud. And it was like two pints of Foster's Bud. I said, no Foster's Bud. And he says, the 2 boys are looking at me as if I've got 3 heads on, saying, all right, you've got no Foster's, no Bud. So they went again. What kind of fucking beer do you have? I said, obviously not the fucking beer you want. Fuck you and your shitty bar. I was never going to serve you in the first place. Now you've offended me. You used the F word. Fuck you. And there was like, fuck you. So no, I always thought, as my wife put it once upon a time, she said, weird beer, weird customers. But it definitely brings a nicer and cleaner clientele, the craft beer drinkers, down around where we are specifically located, I think, you know?
Yeah. Oh, big. Can I tell you, just before I go, can I tell you, like, I'm not so triumphant because I felt a bit sad for them because they were basically nice guys. But I love that Chicken Run film. Do you remember Chicken Run?
Yeah.
The cartoon,
The cartoon. So I decided I would do a tribute to chickens, right, on the anniversary of Chicken Run being, you know. So, like, I bought everything that you could online that you could ever possibly buy about chickens, right? And the staff were dressed as chickens. I got 2 inflatable kind of, I think they were like 8.5 foot long inflatable chicken outfits. And we were having a chicken dance off between 3 inflatable chickens in the middle of the floor of, and you know, the place is tiny, right? And I happened to be collecting glasses while this was happening, and it was just happening. Like, the chicken dance off wasn't, you know, and 3 chickens were getting really into it. And these 3 guys came in. It was a Saturday night, and they came in, and I was just going past them, and I just heard them, and I was like, they walked into this, like, 3 chickens dancing, and then about 10, because we'd made our own chicken hats, about 10 people came down the stairs on the other side, all wearing chicken hats and clucking. And the boys came in, and one of them said, while I was collecting glasses, said, oh my God, I kind of just don't want to have a drink here. And the other guy said, I just don't think I want to drink anymore at all. I'm just going home.
Oh, man.
And it wasn't like they were, brilliant. I actually felt bad for them, you know. They had just come at one of those fiery moments of, like, we're at peak fucking chicken here. And
I suppose this is the time in the podcast where we give our honorary shout out to Eddie McGarry, you know, probably the oldest craft beer drinker in Cork, you know, one of the men from the north side. But Mike, before we let you go, and you know, we really appreciate, you know, things that can probably describe you as eccentric, flamboyant, charismatic. You're definitely on the Garda's radar nowadays, you know, when they see you walking around the streets with the long hair. How many Hawaiian shirts do you have?
Oh man, I can't count that
This
high.
is a bit embarrassing. This is a bit embarrassing, lads. I counted them recently because I was just thinking what a fucking loser I am, to be honest, to be so obsessed with something so fucking stupid. But I counted them about 6 months ago, and I've added a few since. And actually, I've got this big wardrobe that was for my, like, really, it was for a girlfriend that was living with me, but I filled it with shirts. So I went through it, and at the time, I had 143.
143.
I'm like, no, lads, in fairness, right? I don't, because I'm cheap and nasty. I'm from Macroom, right? It's not like these designer things that cost, like, they're fucking cheap, right? But I'd say we're somewhere over 150 at this stage. I just got a really good Virgin Mary one in it recently, actually.
You've given many away.
Oh, tons. Yeah, tons.
Can I jump in there, Mike? Did yourself and Alan from Fiumbarras buy a pair of flowery underpants in Germany?
No, they weren't flowery underpants. They're what's his name? The yellow fucking cartoon character. What's his name? The
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Sponge pants. It's upstairs. It's upstairs. I can get it for you if you want. It's massive, but I couldn't turn it down. It's like for some guy, like one of those huge Hawaiian guys. It's massive, but yeah, it's still upstairs.
There was a big short.
Two of us in it.
There was a big short romance there, wasn't there, in Germany? When we were actually taking on a junket with Erdinger, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was quite fun.
Mike, that was a great weekend as well, I must say. Mike, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
We'll catch up soon, man. And
we'll run into each other for sure. And Killian, keep on going, dude. You're doing great.
Thanks, Mike. You're a legend. I can't wait to come down and bring you beer again.
Don't worry.
And plenty
goes for you as well, Dave, obviously.
Plenty of jelly snakes. Have the jelly snakes.
Yeah.
He set the standard. He set the standard.
Sour.
He set the standard. I'm going to have to come up with a better sweet now to kind of tempt you in.
Dave, you can't. They're all natural, man. They're all natural.
Yeah, it says natural on the packet, to be fair.
Yeah. I believe everything, Sean.
You'll have the cheap jelly snakes down at your end. I'll give him the Ferrero Rocher off my end.
Ooh.
Hey, well, what I'll give you my address. You can drop off a case of Law and Morrigan at my place. You can deal with it. You can give them the kegs.
Anyway, good night. Cheers, man, and thanks for joining us. All right, appreciate it. Sláinte, man.
Take care, guys.
Sláinte. Cheers.
Mike Darcy, the legend from the Prairie Lads, absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? Jesus, good crack. You could talk at him all night long. You really could.
Mike's great.
Jesus, where are we at? I think we're on.
Alpha Bravo Zulu.
Bravo Zulu. Are you ready for that already?
I'm ready.
Yeah, crack it open, lads.
David McHugh is ready.
Yeah, bring it on.
Killian, we've got before we get Shane on, I think we need to talk about one or two things. Like,
shut up. Wait till Shane's on. Yeah.
Who's Shane?
No. The comment. It's got more. We'll bring that back. We'll get back there. But Killian, with regards to how curious, he's going to be. He's one of our locals. He's you've probably met him before.
Oh, so not Dot Shane.
No, not Dot Shane. But what we want to know is, just with the whole rebranding of Larkins, Curious Society, the different price points and everything else like that, is like the Larkins IPA going to disappear? Yeah, like, is that not going to, like this can, is it now going to be Curious Society IPA, or what's going to happen?
No.
I think you might need a light on there as well, Killian. You're getting very dark. You might turn on a light.
Oh, hang on a sec.
Yeah, you should have listened to your wife.
It's like
I don't know where she is.
get her. No.
Is that better?
Way better.
There we go. That's good.
Now you just need me back. Okay. Yeah, it's mad. The light just died.
Jesus, Mike Darcy's back.
God. It's Sean White. It's the flying tomato of Ireland.
Anyway, we were saying what were we talking about?
Larkins up, yeah.
Larkins
up. Mm-hmm. Is it going to disappear, or what's going to happen?
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, I think we've broken every branding rule that ever existed. Like it's just all so higgledy-piggledy, right? Curious Society and Larkins, totally separate. Think about Curious Society as a core range. Think about Larkins as pure innovation. Yet to come, obviously, because we need those new tanks that I talked about, that they've been held up in the Suez Canal. The IPA and the Pale Ale are kind of anomalies, but they're there. They're great beers. They're kind of staples. They're not going anywhere.
Brilliant.
And I'm not going to rebrand them either. You know. I might upgrade the branding, but I'm not going to rebrand them as something else.
And then we may as well touch on this. Sorry, Dave, you go ahead.
Let's crack to Bravo Zulu. I think people are waiting to get the next beer open.
Yeah.
Bravo Zulu.
Continue the question.
So, crack the Bravo Zulu. But basically, Killian, my question is, what's the craziest thing that you have planned? And I know you have big ambitions for the new range, especially when you get your new 30-liter going in, or 3,000-liter going in, sorry. What's the craziest thing you have planned? Is it something that you've seen, or are you trying to come up with a Bill Nye the Science Guy beer?
Well, I think, I'm not going to give the game away, but I think, you can look and see what people are doing in other sectors like, cooking, cuisine, where they challenge the, I'm trying to think what the right word is. I don't want to say consumers, but it is consuming, like eating. Where they challenge your perception or your conception of what is food. When they're combining things that traditionally have never been combined. And I think that beer, I mean, in Ireland at least, hasn't been as challenging. It has been challenging, but it hasn't gone to those same lengths where, I saw a dessert by Heston Blumenthal there, which was chocolate and tobacco cake. And, you say that to me and I think that sounds fucking awful. It sounds literally fucking awful. But then if you tell me half of his recipes, they sound fucking awful. But then, the reality is that, they do a lot of testing, and it's funny that I think it's awful because I'm bringing so much prejudice to the table when I'm that these things go together. Like being really basic about it: red wine with red meat, white wine with fish. But then there's just so many other ways of challenging people, but in a positive way where it tastes good as well. Because it still has to taste good. That's always the challenge: is that you challenge people to combine different flavors, but it still tastes good. And that's the thing: is that beer, the Reinheitsgebot, and all that. Forget about that. We left that in our wake years ago. And I think now beer can really just move on. It's so much more creative than wine or whiskey or any of those things. I think beer is pretty much the most creative liquid, beverage that there is, certainly in alcohol. And that's where Larkins, that's where I want to play is in that. But I don't want to be playing with as much volume as we get from the big tanks because, obviously some of these beers would be pretty unusual. But that's it. I mean, so I'm waffling now because I've had so many beers. So hopefully everyone else has.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the point. We need to liquor you up so we can pry it out. You know, like milk you like a cat.
Yeah, we gotta prep you for we gotta prep you for your quick fire round.
Like a cat.
It's from Meet the Fuckers. Ben Stiller.
A part of the House Guys Live is at the end of your not the end of your interview, but towards the end we have a quick fire round. So we got to kind of warm you up, and then we got to take you out. You know.
Yeah. There's so many metaphors going on now. I can't tell what's real, what's not anymore.
Yeah. I suppose where are we at in this whole thing? I suppose let's get back to a couple of questions that we kind of I wanted to, like, I know we're deviating every time we're all talkers here, so we're deviating on everything we ever come up with, which is great. The conversation is flowing. Are there breweries you admire, Irish and international?
I think the, I suppose the brewery that kind of grabs me every so often on Instagram, where I'm like, shit, what are they doing now, is probably Omnipollo, where I see these posts and I'm like, God, look what those guys are doing. They're kind of doing what I've been thinking, where it's like they're really challenging me in some ways when I'm looking at the liquid and I'm like, okay, but there's a scoop of ice cream in there now, and there's all sorts of other shit in there too. And I think that's really interesting, because I think that's where, that's why we split our brand, is because there are these great beers that you can do, and they don't all have to obviously be at €3 or whatever. I mean, that's the thing, because the Tipperary and half my family's from Tipperary, so I'm half Munster, so I kind of half felt your pain last weekend. Yeah.
Well, I might have to change my question.
But not really.
Who's fucking with the cameras? That you, Sean.
What's going on?
Don't touch the fucking mothership that you don't know what you're doing. Leave the cameras to me, man.
I just want to give them a taste. What I want to know, though, like,
yourself.
But what I want to know, Killian, like, I understand that you rate Omnipollo. Their price point seems a little steep, but also on Christmas time, I saw they were selling Mike Moore from Bradley's. He was telling me they were selling a towel for €250. I mean, for fuck's sakes, if I'm getting a towel for €250, I want to wrench that thing and be able to get beer out of it.
A towel, like is in a beach towel.
Yeah, for €250.
And that was in Bradley's.
You're really taking. Omnipollo was selling it online, but Mark Moore, he works at Bradley's, he was the one who told me about it, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. I want to be able to wring beer out of that towel at that price. I mean, you're taking the absolute piss if you're trying to sell something at that price.
There's something about a South African when they get into the groove and they have strident views on a subject, isn't there? It's like, you just got to agree. But I do agree. I mean, €250, but that's like, how much? I mean, you could Google it now. How much does Louis Vuitton? How much they charge for a towel? I mean, is it €250? I mean, that's an insane price for a fucking towel.
Idea. It's not what I'm going to be paying, and it's not what I'm wearing. I mean, I'll tell you that much.
It's about time we brought on Shane, actually, isn't it? Shane's waiting here.
Yeah.
So Shane from the. We'll have a chat with Shane. While we're all talking about towels. Maybe he's got a towel as well at home. He wants to.
Towelly.
Evening, Shane.
Whoa, Shane.
How are you, man?
Blarney Street Brewery. I never even knew there was a Blarney Street Brewery on the north side.
Well, it's just all mine. Sean, Dave, Killian, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Shane.
You're in the virtual hot stool tonight, man. How hot is your stool?
It's nice and cool at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we can't put you in the hot stool, but without asking you about Stoolgate. I mean, oh, sorry for
Are we
hitting you with such a
talking,
tough
are we talking
question.
about? Are we talking about
I mean,
like a season? Somebody shit
No,
their
I
pants there?
mean, no, I
This
mean,
is-
rugby. They had Bloodgate. Remember the controversy with the players pretending they were bleeding and Harlequins. Yeah, I mean, we had Swinggate with the politicians falling off swings. I mean,
And
I think
she was
the beer
moaning that she was being hard done by recently or something.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, carry on.
Let's yeah. So we all have the context. So the beer house had Stoolgate, and one of the people involved was our Shane Dignam. You want to tell us about Stoolgate briefly?
I wasn't actually involved per se, David. I believe I was outside at the time.
An ecumenical matter?
I'm sure I have to say on the matter. Like,
Were you?
I was outside. It wasn't me, and I have come to terms with it, and I'm okay about it now.
But you know the great thing about it at the moment, Shane? There's no stools at the counter now, so there's no stools to fight about, you know.
Again, there was no fighting. There was no fighting.
Yeah. No, it's no. It's just when I saw you in the hot stool, that was the first thing that came to my mind. You're well into the home brewing, Shane. Yeah.
I am. I like
we introduced you as Blarney Street Brewing Company, you know.
The sign is
a little home bar there now. Huh? The she bean, huh? I'll report you.
Yeah.
I'll report you. That's it. I'm on the phone there now. Gardy, what's your number again on Blarney Street? I don't remember the number.
I think it's okay if I'm here on my own though.
Yeah, true. As long as what time you open?
You do have a you do have a pimp at your house, Shane, but we'll bring it back there. But I mean, basically, you know what? I think as David mentioned, like Killian started out with pretty much like a garden shed. Like his mum kicked him out the house and was like, "Yeah, all right, you guys get out the back, and you carry on doing what you're doing." I mean, any questions for Killian or any of the other home brewers that would like a little bit of advice going on there? You know.
And I actually can answer the odd technical question. I know. Yeah, so go for it.
Your pip will answer that.
Just make sure they're not the even technical questions, just the odd ones. All right.
We can get your mum on next week.
So just number 135, Killian, yeah? No, first of all, I'd like to say, I thought what you said about actually downscaling your production in order to increase the variety and the amount of seasonals and different beers that you're putting out. I think that's amazing because I think that's what's selling. I mean, obviously we all have our favorites and our go-tos, but a new thing is always going to sell. I think. I don't know, but at the moment, I've got the Bravo Zulu. Where's the picture? The Bravo Zulu on the go.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. Yeah, it's perfect.
Thanks very much.
It's thick. It's dank. Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
There's a lot to be said for a session. There's a lot to be said for a session, isn't there? Like, I mean, Shane, you touched on it there. My co-host Sean has got me into big double IPAs and big stouts, and everything else just tastes like water. But I'm drinking a couple of. It's great to drink a couple of light beers tonight. It's the first time I've drank them in a couple of weeks, and they're lovely. I'm not feeling tanked after 2-3 beers, you know, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
So we mentioned the Stoolgate. Go on, John.
What's the name? What's the name with Bravo Zulu? You told quite a cool story because you first of all had the West Coast IPA, and then there was the Bravo Zulu. So give us a bit of background there, quickly. You got 1 minute. Go.
The first ever transatlantic radio communication went from the west. It went east to west. So from Connemara to America. That was the West Coast IPA that we did. Called Atlantic 353 because it crossed the Atlantic. 353 is our phone code. And it also reminded me of Atlantic 252, which was my favorite radio station when I was growing up. And then for the West Coast IPA, the East Coast IPA, we wanted to choose something which went east. So that was the first ever transatlantic flight, went from Newfoundland in, I think it was 1919, to Connemara. And actually, when they landed in Connemara, they sent their radio transmission from Marconi Station, which was the station that sent the first ever westbound transatlantic radio transmission, to wherever it was, the Daily Mail, I think it was actually, to say that they'd landed. And so that's what it was. So Bravo Zulu, they used an ex-military jet that they'd converted to make the flight. And Bravo Zulu is like the NATO military language for saying well done. And we thought that was really cool because we also like the beer as well. Like Citra Mosaic, it's just a classic New England IPA. There you go. Was that under a minute?
Yeah,
pretty close. We'll give it to you. Good form.
No, nobody's asleep yet. Okay, right, good.
Getting back to Shane. Shane,
Leon Callan's got it right. Marconi.
Shane.
Gillian, did you homebrew before you got into brewing, or did you randomly jump into it?
So I wasn't. I was kind of like home brewing by proxy. So I was running So when the crash came in 2007, I'd left London not long before. I'd come back to Kilcool and Wicklow, and I hadn't. I hadn't left London. I'd gone from London to Paris, and I was working there, and then I went from Paris back to Kilcool, and then the crash came, and then I was kind of like left working this property company, kind of going like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? So I went back to Paris, and I started this property company over there, but then I had this idea, but I'd signed a lease over there, so I couldn't fucking get out of the lease. So I was like, fuck it. Anyway, I have to stick with the property company. But I had this idea, I should have started a brewery. And so I started sending money back to my brother to get him to do the home brewing. So he was actually doing all the home brewing. And so in a kind of a way, we were doing home brewing, but it's not, it's kind of a roundabout way. My brother was doing it, and I was basically paying for all the ingredients and the equipment and everything like that. And we did genuinely get kicked out of the kitchen because when you're doing like these big steel pots on the home hobs, and you're doing it for like 90 minutes or 120 minutes, depending on what you're making, and the flames are licking out the sides, and they're just like burning all the tiles around the hob. And I just couldn't get my head around it. Like, why was Mum being so difficult about this? She didn't understand that we were creating a business here. She's getting like really upset about the damage to these fucking tiles. And I was like, you don't understand,
We have a vision.
Exactly. And my brother, he was kind of at the same time, he was a cabinet maker, and he had like a shed down the back garden with like cabinet making tools and stuff like that. So when we actually got kicked out of the kitchen, we basically started putting all the equipment down in the in his shed, and Dave put up a picture of it earlier. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So home brewing. That was it.
That's it.
That's definitely a fire. I'm surprised it didn't get caught on light. That's a fire hazard with the amount of wood around there and the flames that were going up. So,
that's a fancy shed, man. That's a fancy shed.
It does. It looks very classy. Up in Wicklow.
That shed looks better, Mike.
Yes. Well, I mean, you do live in Mallow, so I mean, it's not saying much. But if we bring it back,
you got something else for Shane there, do you?
Yeah, we do. I mean, listen, Shane. I mean, if you ever decide to go into mass production, you already have a pimp. I mean, Kelly was pimping you out to get on the show. So, what was it? It's a web forum. What's the name, Dave?
What was that? I missed that. Sorry.
What's the correct
A
name?
webinar.
It's a webinar.
Webinar.
So Kelly was pimping you out to get on here, but if you
Pipping,
ever go to
pipping,
mass
pipping.
production,
We're
you've
gonna
already
say
got it.
Tipping. We're gonna say
I think Kelly just wanted to get me out of the house. She didn't realize I'd still be here.
But what we want to know is,
what you didn't realize, Shane, would you bring the brewery into the house instead of bar up in the house?
like we've been.
Can I just ask Killian again?
Go.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Go ahead. No, go
Can
ahead.
I just ask you, Killian? When you transferred to the shed, what kind of volume were you brewing? And was it all just yourself and your friends consuming, or?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was total, home brew. We were using Speidel. I can't remember the name of the company. This German company, anyway. And I bought a fridge, a commercial fridge, to like a walk-in cold room type thing, to help ferment the beers. I mean, we really didn't know a lot about what we were doing. But it was totally for personal consumption, and giving out to people and friends and all that sort of stuff. But I suppose from the get-go, though, my interest in it stemmed from the lack of variety in Ireland back in the late 2000s. And so I guess from the get-go, I was always kind of thinking about going commercial, to try, and then of course, by the time we did do it in 2018, we were like, we were fairly late to the party. I mean, there was already at that stage a number of really well-established breweries experimenting in all sorts of ways and learning their trade. Even like Rascals. I mean, for example, the reality is that some of their beers that they were putting out before, they were fairly innovative. I'm not saying that they're not now at all, but I'm just saying back then they definitely were for me. I mean, when I was tasting their beers, the strawberry milkshake IPA, I think it was, or pale ale, can't remember now. You know the one I mean. Like I remember the first time I tried that.
That's the question we answered earlier. We asked earlier, what Irish breweries did you admire? So there's Rascals and one.
Yeah, that was it. I never answered that question. So the Irish brewery, I guess, Kinnegar is probably for me the most successful Irish brewery. They've done the best job of being well distributed across the country, and having a group of consumers who drink their beers, who I guess traditionally could have been more macro drinkers. Kinnegar have done a really good job of breaking down that boundary between macro and craft. And I think their branding at the beginning, where it was the bottle with the block colors, it did a lot to help. It was very accessible. It was very recognizable. You could see the Kinnegar bottles from 10 meters away across the shop, and people who didn't necessarily care as much about craft beer were just like, the yellow one, the blue one, the orange one, and that really helped. I mean, so Kinnegar are probably, of all the Irish breweries, the one that
Well done. That's I think that's like two weeks in a row that not 2 weeks in a row, but 2 episodes in a row that Kinnegar has been sang in high praises. Shane, getting back to yourself. All right, I've got something I have to bring up.
Yeah, I've got something too, Dave.
Hold your thunder. Shane, we were on Tour de Goose together, all right? We had a moment, just say after, was it the first night or the second night of the amount of sours we put into each other? We had a lot of sours beers. And somebody,
I believe it was after this night.
Yeah, a certain brewer, the Worcester Blacks, we won't name, Roland Russell.
Yeah.
We were sharing
selfishly.
we were sharing an apartment together. Yeah, we were sharing an apartment together, weren't we? Myself, yourself, Yurka, and Ronan. Was that the four of us? That was the fourth.
And Alan O'Reilly.
Oh, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan was in his own bedroom. Myself and yourself in one bedroom, and the lads had their own bedroom. Yeah, but like, yeah, what we didn't realize was on the sours you have to buy toilet roll. So there was like one roll in the apartment. Between
God,
what?
this is going down the toilet.
Five lads. So we woke up. This is the second night in, the second morning, and I think everybody realized their bowels had to empty. And
Unfortunately, Ronan woke up first.
And he used all the toilet roll. And he was happy. But the problem with the apartment was, Shane, if you remember, the toilet was at one end of the apartment, Ronan's bedroom was in between, and the shower was in another room about halfway up the apartment. Yes? So, if you remember, I contemplated doing my poo and making a run for it, but it didn't happen because I was like, I ain't risking it. But do you remember the train ride or was it a bus ride into Boone? Oh my God. I put my hand up and I said, my stomach was in knots. But what a fantastic moment that was in Boone. As we just say, do you remember the four lads? Was it the 4 or 5 lads on the on the piece of
Well, I think it was 4 of us because Ronan was fine, obviously, at that stage.
Yeah, but do you know 3 or 4 lads that are on the scenic New York skyline, sitting on the bit of scaffolding? That's what came into my head. Like, we eventually made it to Boone, and basically we went boom. So we went toilet. The 4 of us went toilet. But when we got to Boone, boom, to do our poo. That's not the answer. I went up the toilet first, and I was like, "Lads, I gotta go." I looked behind me, and the 3 lads are behind me. And I went up to the toilet, and I was like, "Right, I gotta go." Into the toilet, no toilet roll. I came back out, and I was like, "Lad, there's no toilet roll." So a man had to run across the car park to get toilet roll. He came back with 1 4-pack. So it was like, I need all 4. So it was like prison. You got handed a roll. So, Shane and the other boys are behind me. Shane behind me, he gets handed his roll. Yerka's behind him, he gets handed his roll. And who was behind him? Alan was behind you again, and then he got handed his roll. So we all go to the toilet, and we're sitting in individual cubicles, having a chat, having a laugh. And to this day, honestly, it's something that just sticks in my head. I just went, literally, holy shit. You know?
Oh, God.
What a crazy moment.
Listen, I can only imagine what it's like with 4 lads in the bathroom talking much shit. When you go on tour to Goose, don't share an apartment with Ronan Russell. Because you'll steal all the toilet roll, basically. But
Yeah,
what's
any memories of that? Did I describe that accurately, Shane? Any memories of that?
Absolutely.
Any good memories of that?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But what I think we need to do now that Dave's got his toilet humor out the way,
everyone loves toilet humor.
We need to realize that we need to try to broaden our horizon on who's coming on the show or the webinar as such. I mean, is there a person that David O'Leary has not slept with on the show?
He's not slept with me.
Thankfully.
Well, you're any of the guests as such. It's like he's bringing on all his ex-flames, you know. He's had Ronan.
We had separate beds.
Oh, it was a separate beds. Okay. Well, listen, I don't know I don't want to know what's going on behind closed doors. It's all right, but yeah.
No, that's okay, Sean. I don't mind telling you. We shared a room and we had 2 separate beds. So I'm pretty sure I wouldn't slept with David.
Can I sum up my experience with the past? Yes, all right. Declan Buckley, I saw his bottom. I don't want to share an apartment with him again.
That can't be pretty.
All right. Who else? Alan O'Reilly, Alan from Fionn Barras. He slept on the bathroom floor, so I had the whole room to myself. Shane snored like a trooper, so I don't want to share a room with him again. So that's my guess in a nutshell.
So David, what you're trying to say is that you're looking for new partners, or what's going on?
Oh, there's no partners. I'm done, man. I'm done.
Okay. Married man down in McCrew.
Shall we do the
quick fire?
The quick fire before we bring Andrew on. Andrew's waiting to play the music. Killian, this is your quick fire round. Are you ready?
I didn't even know about this. Go for it.
All right.
You're not supposed to know about it, Killian.
All right. You should know about this. You should have done a bit of research.
Mission accomplished, though.
We researched.
So the rules are: you have 1 second to answer. Every answer you don't get right, you have a sip of beer.
I might need another can.
No, you don't answer. All right, you ready? Here's the questions. Killian Fahy, here you go. It's the House Flies Live quick fire round. Talking beer, IPA or stout?
Stout.
Talking whiskey, Scotch or Irish?
Irish.
Talking rugby, Munster or Leinster?
Leinster.
Talking rugby, sub questions to that. Ronan O'Gara or Johnny Sexton?
Sexton.
Neither.
If neither were an option, but anyway.
Music. Dean Martin or Metallica?
Metallica.
Where are we at there? Beers. Are we talking session beers or big beers, big ABVs?
Well, I have to say big ABV after saying stout, don't I?
Okay.
Amen.
All right. Is your glass half full or half empty most times?
Half full.
Okay.
Or mostly full.
Good.
Holidays. Are you looking for sun or snow?
50-50. Yes. Snow.
Are you talking TV? The A-Team or Baywatch?
A-Team.
Yeah.
We're talking kids' TV shows. Oscar or the Den?
I don't have any kids. Oscar, who?
Bosco or the Den? What you watched as a child? Bosco or the Den?
I didn't grow up in Ireland. Let's say the Den.
All right, well done. And the final question, because we know you have a bit of French in you. Wicklow or Paris? Drink.
There you go.
Drink.
And I mean, I don't know if you play Buffalo rules up in Wicklow, but that's definitely a Buffalo anyway. So it's up to you.
The hell's Buffalo?
Oh God, the ignorance. The ignorance of it.
Anyway, Killian, you passed. You had to drink once. Just a couple of wrap-up questions before we bring on Andrew for myself. Where do you see Larkins in 5 years' time? I know that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Text your pin.
5 years. 5 years. You know, that's a question you get asked a lot in any industry, and it's kind of real crystal ball gazing. I mean, I think all I can say is right now where I think it's where we want to take it, and then I guess if you multiply it out by 5 years, you guys can use your imagination on that. But Curious Society, I would really see that as being a very much a go-to core range where in and around the €3 price point, you would kind of be like, well, why would you not? Because what else is there that you could get at that quality of beer at that price point? We're not trying to challenge the top shelf with this. We are trying to produce very good quality beers, but we are not going after the 20 gram per litre double IPA sector with this. And then for Larkins, where we want to take it is where we are really, challenging people for, you know, on their perception of what is beer, you know. What are the ingredients? What are the flavors that you can combine? And doing it in a really, you know, progressive way and constructive way. And what do I mean by that? I mean not just randomly throwing shit into a pot and seeing what comes out, but actually thinking very carefully about what flavors you can combine to produce a positive outcome. Because ultimately, people need to enjoy these beverages, not just be kind of like knocked over by how weird they are. Although that's fun too, but they have to be enjoyable. So that's where we're going with it. I don't know whether that answers the question fully, because I don't know in 5 years where that takes us.
Jesus, man, we don't know where we're going to be in next year, you know. So how do you know what it's going to
be? Exactly. In the pub, I hope.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, right? You got one beer to bring to Desert Island, and you got one other thing. So one beer and one thing. What would you bring?
Thing.
Your gym and Larkins
That's a
IPA.
hard question.
Well, it's kind of like, you know.
We're PG. We're PG.
It's kind of like, okay, the thing, Desert Island, I guess it's going to be a box of matches. And then the beer, I would probably go for a session IPA.
Good. A case.
If it's the only thing that I can.
A case of it. Yeah.
Yeah, or a truckload of it, whatever I can get, you know?
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
We'll have you back on in a second anyway after the music. But do you have any final words to the people of Cork? You know, your many fans in Cork, I mean, and around Ireland, you know? Keep drinking the beer.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, yeah. Keep drinking, drink more. You know, it's better for you than the Irish health
drinking
ministers tell you.
Drinking the Abbots, drinking Priory,
yeah,
drinking all the good beer. Keep going on to Bradley's, picking up the beer. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, there's no doubt about it. You know, since I started doing this, I know Ireland a lot better than I did before. You know, there's always that thing where Dave, like. How often do you end up in Wicklow? You know, probably never, right?
Never. What would take me there?
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, transporting beer around the country has taken me to cities like Cork and Galway and Limerick that I'd never really been to before in any, you know, sort of, you know, great capacity. And there's so many really cool bars in Cork that, you know, I really think the Corkonians are kind of blessed. You know, you've got a lot of great choice down there, and they're all kind of close to each other, so you can walk to all of them, which is really great.
Cork,
the good bars.
I'll jump in here. Cork has the highest amounts of pubs in the country.
But that does not surprise me.
But uniquely, Shane, we got a little, as we said, we have the Cork Ale Trail, but all the good craft beer pubs are within a short walk. You can't do that.
Miles.
You obviously can't do that in Dublin. You can't do that any other city in Ireland. Yeah. So I mean, Shane, thanks for joining us as well. By all means, you've been a legend. Sorry for bringing up the old story and boom. I just had to share it.
That's all right, Dave.
Yeah.
We shared a moment.
Come here, man.
You shared a moment. There we go. I knew there was more happening behind the closed doors.
I have a final question. I have a final question for you. Right? We had John and Connor on last week. Was it 2 weeks ago? Sorry. And they told us that they see a bit of wildlife along the river from time to time. The odd otter, the odd seagull. Have you ever seen any wildlife along the Beerhouse walls there across the river?
Plenty. Yeah, plenty.
Lots
of otters, obviously.
Yeah. So are you a member of
fucking lunatics?
Yeah. Okay.
Usually.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
No seagulls, otters, funny flying purple hippos.
Otters,
nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Well, obviously there's the usual hippo,
We're proud supporters of the Otter Trail on the Beer House. It's a fantastic initiative. I mean, it promotes sightseeing while you're having a smoke across the river as well, which is fantastic. Congratulations to Cork City Council for promoting the Cork City Otter Trail. Anyway, Jane, thank you for joining us tonight. You've been a legend. Keep that stool hot. Keep that stool hot when we get you back into the beer house, all right?
Absolutely.
We'll have a pint tonight. We'll have a pint soon, man. Sláinte you.
Hopefully.
Shane.
Good Shane.
Sláinte, mate. Always tell Baxter I say hi.
Yeah. That was a bit of a dig there towards the end, lads. Sorry about that. Hope we didn't take that. We bring on Andrew if I can find Andrew there. Sorry, there's Andrew.
So I got Beer House Cork, Ireland. Beer House Cork. Beer House Cork. So is that because you're writing from different places that it comes up 3 times? It's like
I think it's coming up because it's on Facebook and it's on YouTube, and I'm not sure why the third one's coming up. Yep.
Can you see Andrew there on the screens? I can't see him there.
Yeah, I can see him.
No.
He's at the bottom. I'll put him on.
Oh, there he is.
Andrew, my man. How are you?
Andrew Foley, the San Francisco 49ers.
How are we, lads? Are we good?
Sorry, we're late, man. I told you we might go late.
It's all right. You filled me with beer, thank God. I'm actually drinking the, where's it gone? The Bravo Zulu?
The Carling Black Label.
Yeah. The cans of Bulmers in the back as well.
No. Andrew, it's all about Heineken. All about Heineken tonight.
Yeah, that's it. Heineken.
The show is sponsored by Heineken. Not.
I would love it. Imagine if we make it onto Heineken's page for somehow we're mocking them or somehow and they just come across this. They've actually been mentioned more in the show than any other brewery, to be honest.
That's actually terrible. We should.
It is.
We should come up with a code name. I've seen some people say just heinous. I mean, that could be used.
Catfish.
Killian, before we have Andrew on for a bit of music, right? He's going to play us out. Hit us with a question for a couple of beers and a bit of merchandise from Larkins. Something brewery related, beer related. They can
tell you what. Why don't we do this? Where Andrew plays some music while I think about that question.
Super. And then when we cut after that, look at that for sponsorship. Jesus, send that man a case of beer. Send me a case of beer. I'll drink half and I'll give him half.
Split it.
Right. Andrew.
Yes, my man.
Tell us about yourself, man, before we flake into the music. You're Andrew Foley, obviously a good buddy of mine.
Unemployed.
Your band is Long Beach as well, yeah?
Unemployed.
Long Beach. We've been luckily we've been doing a lot of original stuff at the moment, so we're recording an album while the downtime, while the bars are still coming back. So that's been pretty exciting. That's coming out pretty soon. I'd say in the next few months. But other than that, it's just been sitting at home minding the kids.
You're in the nursing homes, aren't you?
That's what I'm doing at the moment. I've moved into the nursing homes, and I must say they are great gigs. Because
he's vaccinated. He's vaccinated, this fucker. He's vaccinated. No. Yeah. I was out in his gap today, dropping off beer. I was like, I could hug him, but then I was like, no, he can pass it on.
We were trying to figure it out. Could we actually do it?
He's fully vaccinated. Jesus.
Yeah.
So like
the vaccine's useless anyway.
Are you doing it?
It doesn't matter.
Are you anti-vaxxer?
Are you doing
all onto the microchips that they're giving us?
Are you doing anything online at the moment, or are you doing anything yourself?
I'm going to start off again. I was trying to do it for a while, but unfortunately the broadband wasn't leaving me do it too much. So we're going to try again. This will be, the start of it, lads. This is the start of it. If this goes well,
we're going to come here. We're going to be your late show, man. We're going to launch you like Poison.
I'll be happy to do it.
Remember this moment when we launched you, the Beer House, Cork, the House Flies Live.
Never be allowed to forget it.
No, if you do get online and you do start doing something online, give us a shout. We'll give you a good plug.
Of course.
Yeah. Look, do you want to play a song or two? By all means.
No, I'm all right.
Yeah. All right, lads. We let and lads, if you're watching and you think Andrew's good, just throw an old comment into the box there, and he might play a song that you might want. He might know it.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want a request or whatnot, just tear into it. We'll start off with a bit of Chris Isaac. Was on fire, no one could save me but you. Strange old desire make foolish people do. I'd never dream that I'd love somebody like you. I'd never dream that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. What a wicked game to play to make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do to make me dream of you. What a wicked game to play to make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do to make me dream of you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. World was on fire, no one could save me but you. Strange world desire make foolish people do. I'd never dream that I'd love somebody like you. I'd never dream that I'd lose somebody like you. No, no, nobody loves no one. Little bit of Chris Isaac to start off with.
Woo!
Yeah, oh Jesus, yeah, fucking I haven't heard anyone say woo in a long time coming back from a song. That was quite unexpected. Thank you very much. A clap! Oh my God, there's been a clap. That has bring me back. Here's a little bit of you too. If you have any requests, roar away. See the stone set in your eyes. See the thorn twist in your side. And I wait for you. Sleight of hand and a twist of fate. On a bed of nails, she makes me wait. And I wait without you. With or without you. With or without you. Through the storm we reach the shore. You give it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting for you. With or without you. With or without you. Oh, I can't live. With or without you. Yeah, you. You give yourself away. You give yourself away. And you give, and you give, and you give yourself away. My hands are tied. My body's bruised, she got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. You give yourself away, and you give yourself away, and you give, and you give, and you give yourself away. With or without you. With or without you. Oh, I can't live. With or without you. Whoa. 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 With or without you. With or without you. Oh, I can't live. With or without you. With or without you. No holes here, Michelle. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on a playground is where I spent most of my days. Chilling all maxing, relaxing all cool, and all shooting some b-ball out to the school. When a couple of guys, they were up to no good, started making trouble in my neighborhood. Got one little fight, my mom got scared. You was moving with your auntie and Uncle Bel Air. I whistled for the cab, and when it came near, the lights sprayed the fish and did the dice in the mirror. If anything, I thought that this cab was there, but I thought, now forget it, gone to Bel Air. What's the crack, lads?
The Fresh Prince was fucking awesome, man. At the end, that was very unexpected, but very, very good.
That's the best part of the whole song, really. So I'm gonna try something, seeing as we're talking about having a couple of drinks, and I haven't actually even practiced this, but it came into my head, so I said we'll try it. It's a little bit of a Tennessee whiskey. Who actually sings it? Chris? I don't know who sings it. Put it into the comments if you know. I can't remember. I used to spend my nights out in the ballroom. Liquor was the only love I'd ever know. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom. Brought me back from being too far gone. It's Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as a strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. I've looked for love in all the same old places. Find the bottom of the bottle's always dry. But when you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it. 'Cause there's nothing like your love to get me high. Yeah. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as a strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as a strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. As Tennessee whiskey. As Tennessee whiskey. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. As Tennessee whiskey. As Tennessee whiskey.
Very, very good, Andrew. That was fucking awesome, man.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Question:
We've got
is Tennessee whiskey, is that bourbon, or is there such a thing as American whiskey? Just, that's my ignorance coming out there.
I think it's bourbon. Yeah, bourbon.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, come here, man. I might be wrong. We've got a bit of wrapping up to do, and Killian, I suppose we got to get a question. Did you think about a question?
A thought about a question. Yeah. No, I lied. I didn't actually. So I'm trying to think of one right
You went
now.
to the
Something
you went
easy.
to the bathroom and you were doing something else. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And I got totally distracted. Okay, so
Sean, we won't go there again.
question is why do you think we called it Curious Society? Okay, there you go.
Ooh, that's a goodie.
can I answer? I know the answer.
That's a really good. Come here. That's a really good question. I do not know the answer.
It's kind of like the lotto, isn't it? You're not allowed to play if you like really you work there.
Well, there's about 11 people watching. So you've got
there's only 11, so
an 11 to 1 chance of watching a winner.
But anyway, Dave, should we wrap it up here? Andrew will play us out. Just to let her up.
Go on, go ahead.
Lads, thank you very much as always. Let us know if you have any feedback. Next 2 weeks' time, is it, Dave? We are having not
Andrew.
two.
Andrew should be introducing the band. Give it up for Killian. We should have an old drum and bass.
Sure.
Give it up
Well,
for Shane.
Andrew, next time we'll get this sorted out. But next time we're not having one, not two, but we're actually going to have 3 breweries on. So it's Third Barrel, Third Circle, and Stone Barrel.
Come here. Does anyone else get confused with those names?
It took me a long time to remember that, but I mean, give me credit for being able to say that now. So we got Third Barrel, Stone Barrel, and Third Circle.
Kevin.
There, I'm still lost. There's a whole lot of barrels, there's a whole lot of stones and turds, and after a few beers, it just gets on muddled.
We've had Killian's marketing strategy, so now we're going to hear Kevin's next time. So anyway,
well,
Killian,
actually, we are releasing
much.
another. We actually do have another one coming out, and it's called Stone Circle. Yeah.
Is this for real? Or is it a late April Fool?
You can ask Kevin about Stone Circle.
Yeah, we will.
Like,
we will.
So we got those lads in 2 weeks' time. Yep.
Yeah, listen, Killian, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Andrew, thank you. You're going to play it out. Shane, thank you for joining us. Mike Darcy, we cannot wait to be back in the Friary as well for a pint. David, anything else? Otherwise, Andrew, you're on.
No, lads. Jesus, man. All I can say off the top of my queue is thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And come on Munster tomorrow. After that, I mean, Andrew, take it away, man. Play us out with a couple of tunes, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Me on. It's been great. It's been a treat to be here, because I haven't played in front of people in an awful long time. So thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll see you.
Oh, actually, Andrew, by the way,
yes.
Can you just answer what's behind the padlocked door?
Oh, that's the secret. That's the secret compartment.
We'll have to zoom in.
We're gonna
have to call over after lockdown.
We're gonna have to call the guardian on you, man.
Padlock door.
The keys in the lock.
You've probably got the last remaining Larkins without performance enhancing drugs, Morrigan and all law locked behind there.
So, like, Sean, before we wrap up, like, I mean, I behaved myself and you've just left loose. Jesus, man. Christ. Anyway,
it's.
Yeah, I'm letting loose next week. I don't give a shit. Next 2 weeks' time. Lads, fantastic. Been a pleasure. Look, we could go on all night, and we'll let the musician finish us off before we're going to get kicked off. Andrew, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. We'll finish off a bit of rock. Anyone want a bit of rock to finish off with?
Yeah. Go loud, man. Go loud.
Cheers, lads. There she stood in the street, smiling from her head to her feet. I said, hey, what is this? Now, baby, maybe she's in need of a kiss. I said, hey, what's your name, baby? Maybe we can see things the same. Now, don't you worry or hesitate. Let's move before they raise the parking rate. All right now, baby, it's all right now. All right now, baby, it's all right now. I took her home to my place, watching every move on her face. She said, look, what's your game, baby? Are you trying to put me in a shame? I said, slow, whoa, don't go so fast, yeah. Don't you think that love can last? She said, love, huh, Lord above. Now you're trying to trick me into love. All right now, baby, it's all right now. 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 All right now, yeah, yeah. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. All right now, yeah, yeah. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. All right now. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. All right now. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you all again.
Thanks very much, guys. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Great for having you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time with a whole lot of barrels and a whole lot of circles. Sorry, not being disrespectful, but I cannot. I've had a few beers. Third circle,
Thanks to the Bears, lads.
third barrel, and stone barrel. And don't ask for the name.
Sorry, David. I had it. It's third circle, stone barrel, and yeah, exactly.
Stone barrel.
Third circle, third barrel.
They're not going to come on now. Killian, how are you fixed for 2 weeks' time? Let's do this again. Part 2.
But we'll only talk about Stone Circle then, yeah? Yeah.
No, we'll talk about
Right.
Curious Society, a different brewery. All right.
Oh.
All right, lads.
Thanks
Good
for
luck.
having me, guys.
Good Friday. Good night.
Good night, lads. Okay.